Everyone, John Doyle and Emily Gullikson from Optics EQ, another video race of the day, another Derby prep. We're getting closer. These ones have bigger points than the ones we've previously. And this is the Louisiana Derby on Saturday. So we're excited about this one. Emily, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and it's good because we've been following this series, and your idea to do this whole video series, follow these horses, are good. So we've got a lot of information on these horses coming into the Louisiana Derby.
Yeah, because some of these have been in this is the third race in the Louisiana series, right? So this one's got the horse that's kind of the favorite in this race, has been in the previous two. That's Epicenter. And when you look at the plot, Emily, you got Snowflake contention, speed rating low. He looks pretty good on the plot. He looks like he may control the pace like he did in the I guess it was the Risen Star was the last one.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And we're going to show you that plot. In fact, should we just show it now?
Yeah. Just so you can see the visual side by side, because it looks almost similar to today. You just kind of change some of the horses, like the 7 Zandon kind of looks like the 2 today, but otherwise, like, the overall layout looks almost identical.
Yeah. So I mean, the only thing is going to be today is the distance, right? I mean, it's just going a little bit further. You just never know, right? The one thing I've noted on this, right, none of them have gone the distance before. So this is a unique distance for the prep race. I think it's the longest prep race, right? Mile 3/16.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Outside of Dubai, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. But anyway, yeah. So, that's going to be probably the biggest challenge. Like the 7 kind of looked like a good position. That 7 Pioneer of Medina was in the race too, right? Was in the Risen Star, kind of sat a pretty good trip, but couldn't push by. Do you see a difference happening?
No. And I mean, even looking, at the past 3 run lines and coming out of the common race where it was drop and flow, it's hard to see a reverse, of the 6 and 7 today. The 7 likely going to push the 6. So that's just one of those factors to keep in mind, as you mentioned, as far as the distance. That's the only thing I could see as far as the 7 actually having a factor in this race. Less of a contender, but more of a presence in the race, just as far as maybe could have a say in the outcome.
We got a new shooter that's going to probably take some money, and that's the 2. Was it Zozos? And that's the Brad Cox. And horse has been really good in 2 previous efforts, but it gets really tested for class today, and we'll get into him a little bit. But he, like you said, he plots kind of like the 7 plotted in the Risen Star, so that was kind of interesting. And that was Zandos, who finished 3rd in that race, I believe, after a tough trip. And then we got the return of Call Me Midnight, who won the Lecomte and beat Epicenter, right? But let's go to that plot, Emily, because I think that was a little bit different pace scenario, just a little bit different. The 5 here is Epicenter. You can see a little bit more pace pressure. Didn't have the kind of clear lead he had in the Risen Star, and he gets today. And the 8 came running late to pick them up, and at a big price, kind of an upset. So not quite the same pace scenario today, does he?
No, and I'll point out as well, if you're just kind of looking up at the top of that table where you have the fire contention, and it looks like, what is that, a 45 speed rate?
Yeah.
On there, which, compared to today, which is the Snowflake and under 20. So that kind of scenario, fire contention, a little bit above average speed rate, does help a horse coming from off the pace. And looking at this race, Call Me Midnight winning that race will get a lot more attention today than he did in the Lecomte.
Yeah, he was 28-1, and I kind of pegged him as a long shot in that race to get more than a piece, but 28-1, and he's probably my fair value on him will probably be 8-1, and that's will probably be around that price. And it's like, and do you really want that horse now at 8-1 versus 28-1? I don't know, but he's got a chance. He ran a good race, really. He was the only one running late. That's doing any kind of running, so got to give him credit for that. You want to go into, like, I just want to look at the favorite, Emily, a little bit more closely.
Sure.
Yeah, so let's go to Epicenter. He's really done nothing wrong throughout his career. He's kind of just, but the one thing I noticed, he hasn't improved number-wise, Emily.
Yeah, we pointed that out last time. That was just, something that we wanted to monitor, and really hasn't been able to show that step forward.
Yeah. So that's a big, I mean, the two things that are concerned with him would be that, and obviously just the distance is the, I mean, in his win, you know, they really weren't getting to him, but you just never know when they got to go this extra distance. But if he gets
What is, sorry, no, go ahead, but I do want to scroll over that extended comment.
yeah, sure. So it says, had the flow and profile in favor was in hand with those favorable factors on his side. Main rivals had some trouble, right? We had the, you know, and those two are pointed elsewhere. Those were two good in that race. So he beat two good horses, two legitimate horses, got the right trip and win, though he seemed as he flattered going forward, finished in a blanket for show.
Oh, I think I,
Horses behind him. Course playing fast, tougher to make up ground. Okay, so there might have been a little bit of a speed bias that day. You're saying it was just, you know, forward place bias, so got to take that into consideration too. But you know, I don't know. I mean, for me, fair value. We'll get into a little bit of the odds. I'll show you I kind of handicap this race in focus, and I'll show people that. But he's going to be around what, 6 to 5s, even money, don't you think?
oh yeah, yeah.
So there's no value here in this race with him, and he's legitimate. I mean, I'm not going to say that he can't be beaten, can't lose, but he's most likely to finish first or second in this race. That's my guess. But you have other ideas, I think. I could see it, and I could see the.
Well, I mean, it's just what you're talking about. It just in terms of like, if you're betting the race and you think Epicenter's like legitimate, and you're going to get a price that is less than what you think are fair odds, then you either have to take a stance on another horse in the race that's offering value, or just passing, right? Because you don't want to, even if you like Epicenter and you think he's the most likely winner, you know, you don't want to take less than what you should. Like,
Okay.
that's just a pass opportunity. So yeah, I mean, I would, you know, that would be, I'm willing to get a little bit creative in here, because I think it'll be a horse that's, you know, a fair number.
Okay. So how do you want to do? You want to look at some of these other contenders? You want to start with the two, or do you want to?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start with
Because I think that's the horse that will be the second choice in this race. It's a horse that people got really excited about after that Oaklawn Park win. We're already, you know, talking Derby preps, and we kind of waiting for him to show up in Derby prep, and he shows up here. And so just kind of seems like that horse that's got some steam behind him, and in a race where like people are maybe, you know, Epicenter is the horse to beat, but you know, here's this up and coming type with the top connections, Daru, the open length win, a horse that's, you know, another horse that's done nothing wrong at this point, getting a little bit faster, but major class test. I just think it's one of those horses that, you know, you could be looking at another short price, just in terms of overall value, because he could be the second choice in this race.
Yeah, it could be. You know, for me, fair value for this guy would be around 6 to 1. You know, if I was gonna like say, I'm not gonna bet.
Yeah, I think he'll be under that.
Could be. You know, you could be. I mean, his speed figures from our perspective look a little low, but when you go, and I'm just going to show this because relative, our figures may be a little deflated or whatever, but because when you look at the race that he comes out of now, there's only 2 horses came back and won, but I mean, only one horse came back and won. That's him. But you can see this figure difference. You got 5 points here. You have 12 here. You have one horse that improved 31 points. Overall, it looks like on average, it's around 10, 12 point improvement from their race previously, which was the race he was in. So maybe that figure is even a little bit lower than, you know, it really is. So he's rode a, you know, around a 90, so maybe he's better than that. So maybe that could be the reason why people could be focused on him, Emily, too. So
well, yeah, and just for what it's worth, Brisnet has that race at a 94, which is, you know, I'm just looking at the Brisnet figures like on their own, that 94 is like right in line with, you know, Epicenter, and, you know, the other horse in the field. So they're people, and most people, you know, that are not optics users, that are using a DRF, using a Brisnet, using kind of a classic, you know, past performance or standard past performance, he's not going to look, you know, quote unquote slow.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, he gets tested for class. the good thing maybe for him too is that, the way this pace kind of lays out, he may just be able to sit close up and finish. And maybe at least, if Epicenter comes back right, because he's going to kind of be right there. He's going to be right there, kind of behind the 6, 7, and probably can sit maybe even if he can get almost like a pocket trip. See, the thing is it may be to his advantage if the 6 slows down the pace, right, and not tries to open up a little bit. He can probably maybe sit closer and finish. That could be a good thing for him, actually. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trip will be interesting because he was on that soft early pace, as we have noted their flow, and they're likely going to go faster in here just because it's classier horses, and as we can see on the plot, there's horses that are a little bit quicker to that first call. So if he does have to run faster early, that will kind of cut into that square a little bit on the plot, because we just have those those kind of 2 races. But again, it'll be interesting as far as, the role of the 7. If the 7, wants to go press and get up in the mix, then that maybe that does help the 2. If the 7, doesn't, kind of lets the 1 go, then maybe the 2 is kind of forced, to run a little bit faster and chase the 6, which would be something new for the 2.
I just think, especially that they're going like the extra 60th of a mile, the pace is going to be slow. I mean, especially if the 6 can control it. I don't think Pioneer Medina, his best chance is probably just to sit close and hopefully he can pass him, because I think if he tries to go with the 6, it's just going to hurt his chances. So, you could have a merry-go-round race here. That's a possibility, very much possible. And that's why I think it hurts the horse like the 3 compared to his. I think he's going to be. That's the thing. Sometimes people think these longer distances mean means like the closers are better, but sometimes the pace, it's all about the pace, and the pace scenario in this race, especially when you got a horse that can control the lead, what happens is they can back it up. And sometimes that hurts them too, because they keep a horse like that may be able to outfinish them closer. So interesting pace. But let's look at a horse that I was a little bit interested in, was the 9. And I had this horse as the second choice, Rattle and Roll. The Fountain of Youth race, that race was a mess as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand that race. It was just a wild race. It was roughly run. They're all bunched up. There's a lot of trouble. And this horse had kicked back in the race. And I like this horse. I mean, his Keeneland win was, I thought that was a nice win, and I just thought this was more of a prep anyway going in.
Yeah.
And I just thought they were going to point this horse to more like, Keeneland, for the Bluegrass. But I think this is probably a softer spot for him. It's a better spot. He kind of landed in a good spot here. And
I think he has another horse that's going to the Bluegrass too. So that.
Yeah. The big one,
Smile Happy, I think.
The one ran in the Risen Star.
Yeah.
Well,
So keeping him separated is probably a big.
Smile. Yeah. But so this guy lucked out. I think he gets a pretty soft race here. Now, I think he's a horse, even though it looks like he's a closer. I think he's more mid-pack. He's not. I don't think he's a deep closer. And I think the softer pace is going to help this horse because he'll be closer. He won't be too far out of it. And if he's not that far out of it, I think he'll be finishing. Now, is he going to have enough to pass these horses? He could be fast enough. If you project 91, that what 91 was as a 2-year-old. So if you can kind of project, forward movement of 1.5 points each month, puts him right in the mix. And like I said, this keyword for us has been big. This kickback. We've seen horses improve dramatically off of that. And like I said, it was a roughly run race, second off a layoff. To me, this horse is if I was going to bet this race and I would get 9-2 or better, I'd be on this 9. I think that would be the horse I'd be interested in. Again, it all depends on the odds, but Rattle and Roll I think is a contender.
Yeah, I mean, he looks, for the reason that you mentioned, even just looking at the grid, I mean, there's no red. We've got those green keywords. As we did the video, we really looked at him as the Fountain of Youth was going to be a prep for wherever they decided to go next. There are gate issues. So, as you mentioned, could be a little bit closer, but this is a horse that just historically has had trouble getting out of the gate, his first 2 starts and then that most recent start. So the way that this track is configured for this race is they kind of break like right on that far turn, right? And then they have that long run through the front stretch into that first turn. So drawn outside, breaks a little bit slow, establishing position early is going to be key. You know, if you just kind of think like those factors, maybe he is a little bit closer, but if Epicenter does at least try to go separate, try to clear a little bit, Rattle and Roll might have to, you know, use a little bit more to just kind of establish that position.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I don't like the gate issues. That's for sure. I mean, that's just horses that have that tendency, or you're generally not good bets. But it's a tough race to find value in, and so.
Well, since you're talking about the Fountain of Youth, let's look at the 8.
Okay, sure. Oh, is this the mod horse?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like a if you followed any of these videos, kind of an unconventional pick on my behalf, because like I'm not really a fan of this horse, but there's one thing that really stands out to me in here, and it's that stretch keyword that we have twice in a race that's 9.5 furlongs. And the timing, the fact that they are going to come back in 3 weeks with, you know, he was part of that incident, losing the jockey. It's really tough to know because, but by the time they edit out the video and then he's off the screen after that. So it's, you know, it's super tough to tell, but just, you know, kind of from that intention and that stretch keyword, and just a horse that I don't think is going to get bet in this race, to where I could, you know, my fair odds would be like 6 to 1, and I think he'll be way above that. So, you know, just kind of keying off those stretch keywords, and then just kind of strikes, you know, just where I just can't really get overly excited about the other horses, and certainly at the other prices, that, you know, maybe it just, you know, all comes together, right place and right time.
6 to 1. Wow. Well, the one thing we're going to find out here is what preps are really good. Yeah, right. Because you got representatives from the Florida races and the Louisiana race, so we may get a little indication of strength of preps too. Yeah, I just couldn't get past the Holy Bull. I thought that horse, you know, pretty much, you know, was forwardly placed on a pretty good lead. I'm a little dubious at the stretch, to be honest with you. Physically, the way the horse looks, but
you know, I was too. I went back and had to like rewatch and kind of do the eye test.
Yeah.
And I'm again just kind of based on the price, I'd be willing to kind of just take a gamble. I mean, as far as the Holy Bull, I mean, maybe you can make a case that, you know, it's his first start against winners. Maybe had a little bit of regression, as it was kind of the second start of the form cycle, and really didn't get a third start of the form cycle because of, you know, what happened, and he was drawn well outside that day. So just kind of seems like, you know, not a horse like I said I've ever been a fan of, but, you know, just in terms of like a gambling number, could just be, you know, kind of make him a conditional pick.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is see, I can see him stretching if he goes along on turf, but maybe this race sets up like, you know, like where this pace isn't going to be too demanding. So, you know, maybe this horse can kind of stick around. Maybe he kind of gets the stalking trip behind the 7 and the 6. You know, he comes out, stalks them, 2 drops over. You know, maybe he drops in the 2 path. I don't know. I just I
mean, his plot's not that bad.
No.
Considering the fact that he has those 2-year-old races, and then that most recent start where he's, you know.
Yeah, you know, that's what I'm saying. He could sit that trip. You know, then he's going to have to outkick the 6 and the 2. You know, could be. Could be. I agree with you. I think he's going to be higher. He's going to be a big price, and so I'm not sure 6 to 1. I'll show you.
No. I'm saying that would be like a playable.
Yeah.
And he'll be. I know he'll be greater than, but a 15% chance. You know.
Yeah. No, I think he's gonna be double digits, easy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I feel like 15% chance is probably fair. No, you think he has less than that?
Yeah, I'll show you what I think he has.
Okay.
Let's wait. Let's just look at
okay,
and then we can go to that. We'll talk about the odds, because I think it's important when you look at these races, that you look at the odds and what you think the odds should be. Call Me Midnight kind of was improving. Ran a big race in the LeComp. Did you know any reason why they skipped the last race, the Risen Star?
That I don't know a reason. I haven't read anything like why it was documented.
Yeah, maybe they didn't need it. You know, maybe they give the horse a little rest and get him ready for this. You know, he just kind of, I think that race kind of fell into him a little bit. Like I said, I think pace-wise, he's a little bit more up against it today. Remember, we looked at the plots, those two races. So, but, he's still, obviously, he's got a chance, Exotic's chance too. I just think it's just from a pace perspective. This race is a little bit more difficult for him. That's about it. I don't know. You have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it would be a shock to kind of get that same trip, get that same win in this type of scenario, and now you're not getting compensated in price.
Yeah. Well, let me go to because I did this, and I'll have this for our users. I'll have this up with the race of the day information. So I did what we call focus, and I just kind of, you see what I have here is my ranger strategy pass, not too good. But to Emily's point, if I think if there's a horse other than Epicenter that you think you might want in the win end, or you're playing a contest or whatever, what I try to do is set some odds that I think are fair value odds. And, Emily mentioned her fair value on the 8 gold. So the one thing, again, you'll notice in these write-ups, let me just make this a little bit bigger so people can see, that this is the first time at today's distance for everybody. So keep that in mind. That's an important point. I did a toss on the one, Emily. I don't know if you had any.
No, I agree. No arguments.
Yeah. So those I had 6-1. I just think, maybe that race was stronger. I agree with you. Probably, maybe this horse can get more action, but that's what betting's all about. So if this horse is getting bet below that, I don't want any part of them. The 3 I made 8-1. You can't knock his form. He's, the fact that he won this race last time. So I thought fair value would be 8 on that horse. You might get that. Might be a horse you can consider. What do you think, Emily? You think 8-1's a fair value on that horse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
4 and 5, I didn't give much chance. You see the odds of 40 and 50 to 25-1. Any of these don't see?
No. I think they're both kind of taking a shot. I mean, it's the end of the meet. You've got a horse on the ground. Might as well take a swing. They're both outsiders.
You see that paid off in what was it, the Southwest, or one of those races, right?
Well, we're not even close to the end of the meet at the Southwest. So.
Yeah, no, I remember you taking a shot. The point.
Oh, taking a shot. Yeah. I think this is a different scenario because at least they shipped in, so it's like you could kind of make the case that at least they're putting them on a flight or van or whatever. Where these ones, it's like they both ran less than 40 days ago. Yeah. They're here. Where else are they going to run? Right. We'll figure out what to do next time.
Epicenter, I think we talked about. My fair value on that horse would be 9-5. You're not going to get anything near that, so that's not a bet I want to make. The 7 Pioneer Medina, I made 15-1. That's high, but I just don't see a scenario where the horse kind of presses or stalks and out finishes 6 and several others in here, like the 2 and the 9. That's just the 3.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't play him at anything less than 15-1.
Yeah, and you're not going to get that. Let's face it, especially with Pletcher. Emily, I had your horse at 15-1. I know you had a 6. I just had a 15.
I think yours is closer to what the actual odds will be than mine. So
But I like the horse. If the horse is double digits like this, and you were saying, hey, Epicenter, let's say you're saying, hey, I think Epicenter is 1 or 2, maybe a try with Epicenter in first and second, and then having Galt as part of your trifecta may still do something for you, because you could definitely, you can see, like, by rank, I guess he's my 5th choice. So I put him right there with Pioneer and Medina. It's kind of similar. So, and then Round and Roll, I said 9-2. It might be a little bit light, in terms of a fair price. Maybe I should have been about 5-1 or something, or maybe a little more. But I don't know. I just thought this horse might. I don't know if you're going to get 9-2. But I think you might, just because of the 2 in this race. Like you said, take money. Obviously, the 6 will be lower. So in this line, just so everyone knows, I don't do the takeout. So it's a 100% line. I don't know if everyone understands what that means, but there's whatever 17% takeout or 20% takeout in a race like this for win bet. So when they make the lines and make the morning lines, they factor that in. I am not. So this is kind of a fair value line, 100% probability. Okay. So anyway, whatever that's worth, whatever people think that means.
Well, I think it is an important distinction, just from the fact, because it does get confusing, because people will think like, oh, you're making a morning line, this is what you think the horses are going to be bet at. Like, we're going to do our morning line, they have their morning line, and we'll see who's correct. And that's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is looking for value. If you see some discrepancy, that should at least alert you to consider, in that scenario.
Absolutely. So it's just information. And again, when you see some of these fields down here, all we're doing is taking the information that we've talked about and kind of made them in bullet points. And so you can, you say, why do they not like this horse? Or like Silent Pal, well, the red tells me well below average on class. His optics, figs are well below comparatively. First time takes distance. And his only green was he had an excuse his most recent effort. So, I mean, that's what, when we're factoring these in, we're looking at, I would say 6 or 7 categories, the 4 being, pace, speed, class, and form, but also things like suitability to today's distance, right? These all horses are doing it for the first time. So again, even money on a horse doing something for the first time, that was the old Harvey Pack thing, right? Do you want that? So that's this, but it looks to me again that the 6 is a legitimate favorite. We made some comments about 2 and the 9 and the 8 as maybe the other contenders in this race that look like they have some chances. So I think that's it, Emily. I think we wrapped it up. Anything else?
No, I think we got it.
We closed. All right, everyone. Good luck, and follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also visit us at opticseq.com. And thanks for listening.